Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tech Espresso, where we serve quick, insightful, and engaging tech expressions. I'm your host, Veer Varma, and today I'm excited to be joined by Dr. Habib Noorbhai, who's a professor at Northwest University in South Africa. His work lies at the intersection of AI, sports science, healthcare, and human performance. Dr. Noorbhai is also the co-founder of Googli.ai, an AI-powered cricket platform designed to bring advanced cricket analytics and insights to players, coaches, and fans. By using AI to analyze cricket performance and provide actionable insights, Googli.ai aims to make the kind of intelligence once available mainly to professionals and more accessible to cricketers at every level. In this episode, we'll explore how AI is being used to better understand human movement and improve sport performance, how technology could change the way we approach human health and performance in the future, and what we can learn from Dr. Nurbai's journey across different fields. From using technology to better understand movement to looking at how AI can make the way we train and perform more efficient, there are some really interesting ideas we'll get into today. So with that being said, let's get into the conversation with Dr. Norbay. Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Dr. Norbay, and we'll be discussing his work in AI and sports science, the future of technology and human performance, and his journey of exploring different fields throughout the career. Thank you very much, Dr. Noorbhai, for being here with us today, and I'm excited to learn more about your experiences, insights, and the work you're doing to push the boundaries of technology and human performance.
Thanks very much, Veer, for having me, and congratulations on a sterling podcast. Well done.
Thank you. So, before we get straight into the questions, I just wanted to send like say a personal connection that I have towards your work. So I used to actually I'm like a huge fan of cricket. I watch a lot of cricket and I used to play leather ball cricket where I was a fast bowler. And I always had this interest in technology. So I was always wondering like how technology could be used to improve performances and help athletes better understand their own abilities. And when I first heard about you and started researching about what you're doing, I watched your TEDx videos as well. I found it really interesting how you combine AI, sports science, and human movements to solve problems. So this leads to my first question, which is, your recent work has focused on using AI to improve sport performances and human movement. So can you just tell us about the technology you're currently developing and the problem it's trying to solve and what makes it different from existing approaches?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And I think just to set the scene, generally in sport, the main focus at the elite level is to win games. So athletes, coaches, and various stakeholders are looking at various best practices around how they could win games. And so to put it simply, AI is certainly one of those approaches or technologies that are now being used to see how can they optimize their chances to optimize certain workflows so that it can better optimize performance for players or even different types of coaching pathways to optimize the best performances for those teams in order to win games. At the youth sport level, it may not necessarily always be centered around winning, but certainly centered around optimizing performance or training or better talent pathways. So, just to put it simply, whatever we were doing 10 to 20 years ago, AI can now speed a lot of those kinds of processes or workflows up. So, for example, video analysis being given to you in seconds or minutes. Various types of tactical decisions or strategic information coupled with the coaching expertise is something that can be looked into. I must stress that the combination of the convergence of AI with coaches or AI with human expertise in sport is still imperative. A lot of people are also asking, will we see a day where robots take over teams completely, where they become coaches or support staff, and they can basically do everything that the support staff and the coaching staff is doing? I don't, perhaps not in my lifetime, but I think that convergence of the combination of AI with human expertise is critical. And so, from that perspective, it certainly is an extender, an enabler, an empowerer, and an enhancer to what we do on a daily basis. Some examples are software based, so integrating different types of AI models to optimize certain workflows, as I've mentioned. But we're also moving towards physical AI. So if there's any kind of AI workflow being integrated to different types of wearables, so whether it's a different type of tracker or a watch, or if it's a different ring or different types of wearables, and now we even seeing smart glasses coming to the fore. And so smart glasses potentially being used to optimizing training for athletes, as well as just understanding how extended realities or virtual reality combined with AI integrations within the software layers of virtual reality can optimize training and performance for athletes. So it's quite broad, it's quite vast. It just depends on what the objective is and what the kind of use case would be for that particular player or coach and in that particular sporting code. So based on those numerous factors, there's different aspects around design thinking and objectives around how AI can be integrated or applied.
That's really fascinating. I think one of like the biggest takeaways is that AI has that potential to completely change the way we actually understand the human body. You know, a lot of current approaches rely on general measurements or observations, but you know, your work shows like how technology um shows how technology can actually provide a much more deeper insights on into like the movement, performance, and individual differences. And what I specifically find interesting is that, you know, it isn't just helping elite athletes actually perform better, but about it's about creating tools that can actually benefit a much wider group of people. So this leads to my second question, which is, you know, you've worked at the intersection of AI, healthcare, and sports science, which are three fields which, you know, do not exactly overlap in general. So, as AI becomes more advanced, what's the biggest change you think we'll see in the way we measure, understand, and improve human performance, and whether that's through better training, injury prevention, or overall health?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think across the board, we're looking at personalized expertise. So there's a lot of experts out there that are either calling themselves generalists or specialists, but irrespective of what kind of expertise they have, there's a need for those expertise to translate that assistance and expertise towards athletes in this example in terms of personalized training. So in the healthcare context, we've been understanding personalized medicine. But what about personalized training or personalized coaching? Now, with a lot of technologies and AI and different and even genomics coming into the equation, there's a lot more that we can do at a personalized level. So, for example, if a coach gives a program to their team, it may work for certain individuals or not. And so it's quite a generic approach that they're applying for a broad range of athletes. But when you start adopting a more personalized approach, that's basically when you would be able to attenuate more on the individualized aspects, something that's unique and tailored to that individual's, emphasizing on their strengths and perhaps working with the improvement areas or the weaknesses. So I think that's one of the key things I think where we're headed. Another aspect is certainly around decision making. If you look at any kind of sport right now, there's so much of moments in those sports where a decision matters. So let's take the example now in the context of the World Cup. By the time this video will be released, we'll have a World Cup winner. But even if you look at the ball possession
Yeah.
of a match, the amount of time the player takes to pass the ball, depending on who they're going to pass to and how quickly they're going to pass the ball to, that also is around decision-making time. A basketball player who has a ball, they can either pass the ball, keep the ball, or go for the hoop. A cricket batter can basically score different shots. So the type of shot that they determine, or whether they're going to leave the ball, hit the ball, or defend the ball, is also decision making. So in every aspect of what we do in high performance and sport, perhaps even in terms of students or academia or surgery or healthcare, there's elements around the decision making that we do. So can AI, when we speak about AI optimizing workflows in different sectors, but even optimizing workflows for sports and athletes, can it even optimize the workflow around how they optimize decision making for athletes? But can it also help coaches make better decisions in terms of what they're doing from a selections perspective, scouting, um, in terms of auction perspectives, or even in terms of tactical training, or even during the timeouts of a basketball game, what kind of decisions is the coach or the captain going to make? So I think across the board, we're going to see. I think the one takeaway from this call, Veer, is that sport, in the context of sport and high performance, efficiency is something that people are thriving for, and they want to use AI to optimize workflows for efficiency. And the best way to measure efficiency most of the time is in time. So
Mm.
if AI can optimize the efficiency in the context of time, or even energy, then that's something that can really lend a helping hand towards various technologies that our people are using at various, kind of intersections, as you've alluded to.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting perspective because one of the biggest things that stands out to me is like AI has the ability to make processes more efficient while also helping people make better decisions. And specifically in sports and healthcare, there's so much data being collected, but the challenge has always been the challenge has always been how we can quickly analyze the information and turn it into a decision that could play a meaningful role in the game. So. This leads to my third question. It's sort of like an advice question, one of my favorite questions I like to ask to guests. So, throughout your career, you've explored different fields instead of, just limiting yourself to just one specific area. So, for someone who wants to explore multiple different avenues, but is afraid to what of that uncertainty that comes with it, what advice would you give to that person?
I think the more you spend time in the corridor of uncertainty, the better it is. And I talk about the corridor of uncertainty loosely because that applies to cricket. And if you
Yeah,
understand cricket, just as in cricket as in life, you want to spend as much time as you can in the corridor of uncertainty, where we want to be uncertain about certain things or questions so that we can find the best possible answers to that question. And even when we do find potential answers to those questions, we have even more questions. And that allows us to when we are more uncertain, we become more curious. And I think it's
yeah,
about being in the state of curiosity and navigating between different disciplines allows you to be even more curious. So, for an example, I've been trained in exercise science and exercise physiology and biomechanics and physical therapy, as an example. But a lot in the recent years, I've been trying to learn as much as I can in engineering, in AI, and machine learning, and data science, and quantum computing, because those are fields that I have not studied in. But I think we live in a world today that, even if you are not studying towards a particular discipline for a particular formal qualification, nothing stops you from acquiring knowledge and learning as much as you can. And I think it's when you are able to have that transdisciplinary focus or ethos, it really lends a hand in terms of widening the spread of how much you can potentially learn. And the one way I would conclude with that, Veer, is that neither you or I are a noun. We are a verb. And so we need to do and experiment with as many things as possible so that we can basically find the best possible sweet spot depending on what we're working on. And I don't think that's going to be possible for many people in different sectors by just focusing on one or two disciplines. You want to try and experiment as much as possible. A lot of the traditionalists will kind of tell you, do it one thing at a time, one step at a time, and once you finish with one thing, move on to the other. And that's true, especially early on in your career. But once you move towards particular complexities, you can't really tackle complexities with singularity. You need to focus on things in a more abundant and diverse way. And so be a verb, don't be a noun.
yeah. I really appreciate that advice and perspective, being a verb instead of being a noun. And I think this is something that uh a lot of young people can actually relate to because there's often that pressure that you have to choose one specific path um and specialize in that as early as possible to be successful. But I think you're a perfect example because your career shows that exploring different interests become become a strength because it allows you to connect ideas from different places and actually approach problems in a new and innovative way. And some of the most impactful innovations happen when people actually bring those knowledges from fields that traditionally haven't worked together. And I think I think that's like the constant reminder that uncertainty isn't always something to avoid, but something where actually the biggest opportunities can come from. So that'll be the end of our episode, Dr. Noorbhai. Thank you very much for coming and sharing your journey and advice. I think this was a really valuable message for anyone trying to figure out their own path, and I really appreciate you coming on to Tech Espresso.
You're welcome, Veer. All the best, and all the best to your listeners and subscribers as well. Thank you.
Thank you.